But we're building out opportunities to have conversations that challenge mainstream narratives because they're so problematic. I mean, this is borderline brainwashing with the stuff that's happening now. Like, to go back to what has happened with all the conversation around sexual assault, sexual harassment, I understand and I appreciate the fact that there are women who felt that they were given space to speak out confidently about things that have been endured and been suffered or experienced in silence. But there is a way this conversation that's been happening that's very manipulative. It's dishonest. And I'm not talking about different individual people sharing their stories. I'm talking about the campaigns and the media. The campaigns, both campaigns, and the media. Hillary's campaign and Donald's campaign. And the way the media, the way they're handling this narrative, I'm sorry. I have said it before, what Bill Clinton has done. And I understand, everyone hold on for a second, because I try to do this on Twitter, and Twitter's not always the best place to make good points. So I don't believe the fact that a man having an affair or doing something can automatically be imputed against his wife. Okay? That's the first line. But, or however, hang in there with me. When you enable that bad actor to do certain things, that reflects on you personally and your choice and judgment. Also, when you are choosing, and several of you made this point to me on Twitter, and I absolutely agree. Didn't get a chance to make the point because y'all jumped in my attempt to do a thread, but that's okay. Excellent point, though. When you're talking about putting that person, especially when you're talking about being administration that's empowering of women, and you're talking about someone that has frustrated opportunity, possibility, and advancement of women in many ways, that also needs to be called into question. So I think there's a way strategically to do this that has not yet been done by either camp. Because what Donald Trump did with bringing out, some of Bill Clinton's alleged victims, I thought was disgusting and exploitive. Now, I understand these women, and these are women who have been shamed and shooed away from the spotlight. These women who've been publicly, castigated and dogged. And based on their stories, Hillary Clinton has taken part of that. So I understand maybe from that perspective why they would want to have a spotlight to finally have a voice, right? Because they feel that they've been wrong, and more than likely they were on some level. But the way the Trump campaign is capitalizing on it is what disgusts me, because he has bad behavior of his own, and he's trying to get out of it by bringing up the bad behavior of someone else, and none of these campaigns are concerned with any of these women involved. People are dragging the names and experiences of other people through the mud for votes, for political points. It is the lowest of the low right now. And right now, while all this is going on, you have actions with Fight for 15 workers, with Fight for 15 organizers, demanding that organizations like McDonald's actually not only uphold but enforce their sexual harassment policies. There was some statistic I saw, this might not be absolutely correct because I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I think it was about 40% of women working in low-wage positions experience sexual harassment of some degree. And in some instances, it's repeated. And if you don't have, if your job depends upon what you're doing, right? I mean, not your job depends upon what you're doing. If your job depends upon that person that's doing it and you need that job, if you have a corporation, if you have a management structure that's not actually, don't have your back on shit, I gotta stop because I'm on a roll tonight and I'm sorry. It's just on stuff that is illegal, stuff that's impermissible, that should not be occurring, that's immoral, that's devaluing to human beings. And let's be clear, men, can be subject to sexual assault and sexual harassment too. But in having these conversations, we're so focused on how this affects this privileged woman in power, who may or may not have had something to do with actually objectifying and subjugating these other women, that we don't have the same desire to stand by the hundreds and thousands of women across the country every day who are going through these experiences in their workplace. I challenge people who are so outraged by something that Trump has said. And let's just be clear, Trump is the jerk he has always been. You think Hillary and Bill didn't know who this was? You think Bill Clinton didn't know who he was when he sat down in, what was it, June, July of 2015 and decided to talk to him about running for president? You think he didn't know who he was talking to? All this, oh my God, he said the N-word. Where are the tapes? You people really don't think they don't know who they're dealing with? They know exactly who they're dealing with. Why? Because they've been hanging out with him. They was front and center at his. I mean, you don't just go front and center. Who goes to people's weddings that they don't like? Oh wait, unless they're your political donors and you need some of that money they got, you need some of that guap. Maybe then you go there. But all this is a farce. It is a farce, and here we are now. Like I said, we are 4 weeks away from the general election. Again, coming up in 12 minutes, if you want to see some real politics happening. I mean, I know a lot of people have their own issues and doubts. I have plenty of issues and doubts with Jill Stein, but I definitely think if you want to see mature conversation happening right now, she's more mature than the rest of them. I think she has some moments herself, and again, I'm not going to, sugarcoat anybody, but overall, I think what is happening with her campaign, what's happening with some of the lesser known campaigns, shout out to Gloria LaRiva and Eugene Puryear, the Lamont Lilly ticket also with the Working World's Party. I really do think that there is really honest discourse and conversation, and there are meaningful opportunities for us to build for those next steps.